Hi everyone.
G'day.
And welcome to another Parkside Live. Thanks so much for joining us. I don't know if you are just joining us for the first time or if you've been joining us along our little series about finding our way. If not, we can pop some links up, but if you go and rifle through it on social media, I'm sure you'll find the previous ones, which would be probably good to have a look at as well. But for now, we hope that you find maybe this helps you find your way in the middle of the mysteries.
Yes. And so by way of introduction, I was on a bushwalk, and on this particular walk I'd taken my two brothers and my father, and we were walking along the coast where we live, and we were walking through some bushes that were quite tall. Like the bushes were taller than me. And my dad was about the same height, but then my two brothers, one is in the old measurements, he's about 6'4", and the other one's about 6'6". And so we couldn't really see. We knew that we were near the coast, and so we were trying to find the path. We couldn't find the track. And so I said, rightio, this is what we're going to do. I said to one of my brothers, you go at the front, the other one, you go at the back. Me and Dad will stay between you because you guys have the best chance of seeing what's ahead. And so we were threading our way, not having a general idea of where we were, but not quite sure, and not quite sure where the track was. And so we were walking through the bush and getting a bit scratched, and everyone was getting a bit annoyed because it wasn't the track. And that was me, I was kind of responsible. And then as we were walking through this bush, my brother stops. I almost run into him. My dad almost runs into him, and then my brother behind almost runs into him. And I said, "What are you doing, mate?" And he just didn't say a word, just stepped aside. And he had stopped literally a metre from the edge of a cliff, which is where the track had gone. And it wasn't really dangerous, but it was the fact that we were moving across the track in a different direction. And so suddenly we knew exactly where we were. The mystery had been uncovered, and it was something beautiful. I remember as we were there being frustrated. I simply wanted to know where we were, where we were going, and how long it was until we were able to set up camp. When you're confronted with something that you don't know, the perspective that you embrace that unknown with changes your experience of it. And perhaps in the middle, right now, you might find yourself in the middle of a mystery, in a situation where you don't have all the information that you want, where you don't have the certainty that you would like to have. This message may be for you. Have you ever found yourself in a life situation where there was information missing that perhaps you didn't have?
Yeah, I think there's been a few different times. Like in parenting, there's probably a lot of times where there's...
Can you give us a moment that comes to mind in parenting where you thought, I don't have all the knowledge that I really want to have for this. I don't have all the information that I really want to have.
I think one of the times is really just, when we're first told you're going to have twins. Like there's two newborns that we knew what it was like to have one.
Well, you certainly did.
And then, yes, to like be growing one at a time. We did have two, but growing one at a time is different to growing two. Like, what will it be like? Are we going to be able to have them to full term? Lots of twins get born early. Like, what's going to happen is, will they be okay? Like, there was lots of things unanswered, and even as it went on, certain things, came about, but that was one thing. And then once you have them, it's like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to have four? And then, as we go on, I think there's lots of mysteries as you raise kids and as you have girls. We get into teenage years and all of that sort of stuff is mysterious and beautiful and scary and wild.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. And so whether it's bushwalking or having kids, trying to work out a mechanical problem in your car, we can find ourselves in the middle of those situations. And there is, I think, value in trying to gain as much information as we can.
Yeah.
We live in a world where, for many of us, we can just simply consult with often a search engine to give us information that we need. There may be a bit of a disconnect between the information and then how to apply or put that information into practice, but certainly we can search all the facts that we want. And even that can give ourselves an impression of certainty, of confidence. I've got this.
Yeah.
There is this strange phenomenon called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I always thought of myself as a fairly confident person. And then someone explained this, and they said that actually a person's level of confidence is inversely proportional to their level of knowledge. So often it's the people who have the least amount of information, the least amount of wisdom, who appear the most confident. I don't know if that's valid for you, but when we acknowledge that there are mysteries in life that we don't know, that in itself has power.
Yeah.
If I have to know everything, if you feel you have to know everything, then as soon as you encounter something that you did not know before, your perspective has become very fragile. I don't know it all. Well, then now I have to rethink my approach. Similarly, if you go, I don't know it all and I never will, that leads to a very, very small life. And the reality of our lives is that, number one, we don't know it all. Number two, we are going to encounter situations that we don't fully understand. But number three, we somehow have to find our way through them. And whether that's a confusing conversation, a challenging relationship, a new stage of life, or a wander through the bush, we find ourselves consistently in the middle of a mystery. And trying to ignore the mysteries of life, I think, leave a lot of our life unlived, a lot of our lives missing. And as we explore this from the point of view of being human, and being human holding on to some kind of faith, we're going to draw some inspiration from, again, this ancient letter that we've been working through, the letter to the Colossians. And I'm just going to read just a couple of sentences here. And this is written by the author who's in prison as they write this. And so they say in the first letter of this chapter, it says, "Now I rejoice." So this author who's in prison, they rejoice in what they are suffering for you, this group of people that they're writing to. Somehow their chains are connected with this group of people. And he says, "And I fill up in my body what is still lacking in regards to Christ's afflictions or sufferings for the sake of his body, which is the church. And I have become its servant by the commission that God gave me to present to you the word of God in its fullness, the mystery that has been kept hidden for ages and generations, but is now disclosed to the saints. And to them, God has chosen to make known the glorious riches of this mystery, which is Christ in you." And so there's a lot in there, and we're not going to get to it all, but what I want to explore is this idea of mystery. That whether it's in our work lives, perhaps you're a part of a faith community, you're exploring some kind of religious community, there is mystery. And I think it's important to acknowledge that previously the church has not acknowledged mystery. The church has tried to offer certainty where perhaps there isn't as much certainty as there was once. And I feel, I don't know about you, but I feel that when we take the mystery out, sometimes some curiosity dies. That if everything's been done, well, I just sit back and enjoy the ride. Like, it's, for me, that's not motivating. Perhaps it's got a different effect on you. I don't know, how does it affect you?
Oh, yeah, like I think too, like if we're talking about faith and God, like if there was no mystery, then I don't think God would be God. Like there would be nothing to search for or to get to know or think about, because everything we would have as a surety. But also then how do we then see things in life, because life isn't certain.
No, it definitely isn't.
I think it would be boring.
Yeah.
If there wasn't, for me, I'm all about the looking for awe and looking for things that I can't explain, but it does something, inside me. Like, I don't know, there's a passion and a purpose to see what's what that wouldn't be there otherwise. I think there'd just be something missing.
Yeah. And even as we move through our lives, that mystery that you talked about continues. A friend of mine once joked that with parenting, the hardest years are the first 50 years. And obviously, you never really fully know. You never fully understand your kids, even when they're adult. And you don't know the full picture. As we move through different stages of life, even as we get to the end of a life, there is uncertainty about what happens next, what's going to happen. And then when we look at this writer who's facing an uncertain future themselves, that this is written and in a situation where it's likely that the author of this letter is going to lose their life because of their religious beliefs. Today we might call them a political prisoner. And yet they are saying, I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. And we're saying here going, we don't know it all. We don't have all the answers. But here's what I do know. That as you are building your life, that is an unfinished and a continuing process. It doesn't matter how old you are as you watch this. It doesn't matter how many different careers you may have had or have not had. That our life is a continuing and unfinished process. Being a parent is a continuing and an unfinished process. Exploring what comes next in our lives is a continuing and an unfinished process. And as we are talking about the idea of faith, you may have heard people talk about the kingdom of God. There's an old prayer that says, may your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And I want you to know that whatever you believe, that God is still at work in a continuing and an unfinished way in this life, that God is at work in a continuing and an unfinished way in your life. And that part of that mystery is actually an invitation to discover who we are. And when we read these words, it says the mystery is the chosen one, the Christ in you and I. That somehow the transcendent is involved in the transient. That somehow the Creator involves themselves in the created. And I want to tell you that that is a continuing and an unfinished process. And that as we say, well, what is it? How can you say that? And some people, you may be watching this and you may be thinking, well, didn't Jesus say on the cross, it is finished. It's done. Yes. But that doesn't mean that the adventure is over for you and I. Matter of fact, there's one writer who says that through God's promises, you and I are invited to somehow share in that divine nature, to somehow participate in not just the activity, but the personality and the perspective of the one who spoke the world into existence. But how do we do that? See, I think we can all, regardless of the perspective of life that we're coming from, we can all affirm the power of love in our lives, From the increased heartbeat when that special someone walks across the room, to the simple safety of being near to someone. Even just today, one of my daughters had a bit of a hard time, and so I just went up and sat on a bed next to her, and she snuggled into me and then stole my phone and took a couple of silly videos. But even that awareness of nearness made her feel safe. We can affirm the power of love. We can affirm even the power of compassion. We all know what it's like to be treated like just a number in a line when we're dealing with an institution, and despite all the smiles and someone remembering your name, you walk away from an interaction thinking, they're just after my money. I'm just a number. And we know the pain of being treated as less than.
Yeah.
But I hope you know the power of being treated as someone who matters, as someone who is loved, because that's the message here. And when we're talking about this ongoing and unfinished process, that another writer actually says that you and I can complete this divine love, that you and I can add to this divine love when we express love one to another. That somehow the Spirit of Jesus that this guy is writing about lives in you and I when love is expressed in this world. That might be wild. That might challenge your concepts. But also you may think, well, if it's just about love, like what do I need this encounter with God? And I don't know if right now in this moment you have an encounter of the love of God that you could share and how that made an impact on your life.
Really just when I have felt, and I did for a long time growing up, feel like I was less than and that I didn't belong anywhere. But actually through reading the Bible, but just having this encounter with Jesus, as I read about how much he loved me, just had me go, if someone loved me that much, it was just incomprehensible because I didn't feel love from anyone else. It kind of started changing some things in me and making me, I guess, feel like I had a place, even though I didn't quite understand it. But just feeling that I wasn't made wrong because there was this one who made everything, who actually gave his life for me and who loved me. And it kind of set me then on a path, like took a long time, but set me on a path of, okay, how then will I live knowing this love? You know, he says that loving him and loving others are the most important thing.
Yeah.
And so it was a really hard journey, but changed my life from being insecure and rejecting everyone else's love to being able to receive it, but then being able to give it. Yeah.
Thanks, I appreciate you sharing. And that's the power, the transforming power of experiencing this love. As you move through your life, I know that for some of you, you've had some experiences of some good love, that people have treated you with respect, that people have treated you with patience and kindness, that they have demonstrated to you that you matter to them. I know there are others of you who can relate to a friend of mine. I was standing in a ditch on a construction site. We were digging a hole ready to pour some concrete. And as we're digging, we were just talking about life and good music and bad music. And the conversation just took a left turn. And this guy just said, Brett, I don't even know if I am worthy of being loved. And that rocked me back on my head. It was the last thing I expected to be talking about. But I know that for some of us too, that same question, regardless of our experience in this life, reverberates through our entire being. And we may be functional, we may invest our lives in others, and yet still at the core, that same question shakes our entire being. And the power of experiencing this divine love is that it lifts us beyond. We're not some hollow drum that beats out this sound of love, but inside is just hollow. That actually we are expressing what we have first experienced. And that is this mystery that when the particles of who you are somehow become entangled with the particles of divinity, the particles of the source of all things. That you experience this love that is a mystery to us all. And that is the invitation as we navigate our world, this way through this world, that one of the most powerful navigation systems is love. And the best guidance is to actually invite the experience of this love of Jesus into your life. And that as you experience it, it then becomes an expression of your life. It becomes how you start to, first of all, perceive others, and then how you start to treat others. And that you move from love to compassion for those beyond your social circle. And that we move to a world that longs to see each human being treated with respect, because we believe that the story of the beginning of this world is the story of love, and we believe that the story of the future of this world is a story of the love of Jesus, and that is what is going to lead us forward through the challenges of our time, through the challenges of our lives, into the future. What that looks like, it's a mystery. I don't know sometimes my next step. We surely don't know yours, but we know that it is built, the future is built on a foundation of love. And we want you not just to hear about that, to actually experience that for yourself. So if you're ready to take that step of faith and to open your life up to an experience of the love of Jesus that we have talked about, we're going to invite you right now to pray a simple prayer. And it's a step into mystery. We don't know all of it, but we know where it begins. And that is simply to say, Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your love. Simple. And as you pray that prayer, your life will be transformed. If that's a prayer that you want to pray as you watch this, then let's do that together right now. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your love. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your love. And if you just stepped into the mystery of the love of Jesus and the transformed life that that brings, we'd love to support you however we can on that step. If you're watching this, please send us a message. We'd love to have a conversation online. Or if you're passing through Southwest Sydney, drop in and join us and other friends around this table as we explore what it means to live this life of love. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.
Bye.